For the newly indoctrinated, Jim Butcher's The Dresden Files follows the story of a professional wizard in Chicago. We started our podcast as a way to help break down the series' most important moments, characters, and lore. This is McAnally's Dresden Files Pubcast by Free Flow Rambling. Conjure at it by your own risk. Welcome to the McAnally's Pubcast, brought to you by Free Flow Rambling. This is episode 8.3, Who You Gonna Call? My name is Tansenn, and I am joined by Maggie.
Hello, hello.
And Jess.
Hey.
Chapter 5. Michael and Dresden travel to the Never Never and battle Agatha. The two manage to put the spirit down and find out the spirit has been tortured. Just before the two can leave the Never Never, Dresden's godmother catches up to them.
So, back Michael to where we started.
We've come full circle.
And by that, we mean him and Michael plunged through the hole. In reality, the
hole
in reality. We said already, they're like best friends, most open communication. Lydia accused him of being gay last episode. Michael is traditional but new breed Catholic. So anyways, I highly doubt any Catholic is just defining themselves like that. Hello. Okay, so off they run to the Never Never.
And almost immediately the ghost dust turns heavy.
So it's designed to make not real things more real. So when you go to the not real place, it's like super double real.
Yeah, Michael asks what the ghost dust is. And we get depleted uranium, cold iron, basil, dung from something.
Never mind. You know what? I don't want to know.
Now we know where Dresden's gold nugget has gone to. It's black market uranium purchases.
Yeah, right. Literally. Like, we get hints of this as the books go on with his contraband in that basement. And like this is super far ahead, but like we've already spoken about the FBI. Like eventually like the cops at one point get access to his home and he's like, "Whew, they are not going to be happy to find like all the like radioactive material I have down there." And it's like super irresponsible, bro. Like no hazmat suit in sight.
It's depleted uranium.
It's insane.
He didn't have that much radioactive material.
Especially because, like, as has been well established even at this point, the wizard chooses the material he thinks is most appropriate. Like, just be a more chill dude. Like,
I love that it's paired with basil. Like,
right?
Just something from the kitchen.
He's just a weirdo. Yeah, like, I couldn't afford anything after that.
All kinds of...
I did a little bit of research, and Wiccan circles, the spiritual aspect of basil is banishing and protection.
Dozy.
So...
Not so weird.
Still,
makes perfect sense.
And listen, a lot of this comes from Bob being the one to be like, no, it's gotta be uranium, it's gotta be basil, it's gotta be this, right?
It has to be diamonds,
Right.
Harry. It has to be
Still
diamonds.
feel like Harry could be like, I took biology, like, just dirt is fine. Like... Yeah, well, like, there's, like, what the whole theory that, like, well, it's not a theory, it's literally true. Like,
I have a theory.
Your entire body is made up of all the particles that the rest of the universe is made up of. Like, you know, like, you've got the same sort of chemicals in you that stars have, right?
Uranium in us.
Exactly. So, like, Harry could have easily, like, you know, been like, rabbit's foot, done. Like, you know, like, something you can get from, like, your hobby shop. Like...
So we get there and discover that it looks like
the ghost's domains.
Domain. It's actually, I know,
Which is super cool. Because the Never Never is just the other... I mean, like, we've got a million different depictions of, like, you know, Never Never worlds, right? Like, we've got all sorts of different ideas and dimensions and whatever. So this is literally just, like, you know, you've got, like, real world and supernatural world. Pretty much, there's only... essentially, there's only two worlds as far as we, you know, we'll go into detail right now, right? The outer gates are maybe like a third one, but simplistically, we've got you're either on Earth or you're in the Never Never, and that's it.
Which is also, part of our reality.
Well, yeah, which is, it's all part of the same reality, but the point is, like there's not, like, a fairy realm and a vampire realm and a whatever. Like, either you're in the world or you're in the Never Never.
Yeah.
It's only those two. But even, like, this portion of the Never Never is particularly shaped by Agatha's
This is
recollection of Chicago.
Yeah. Well, and that's it. It's the same. I'm assuming it comes from the same. I didn't do the whole etymological research on it, but this is just like the old French version or whatever of domain, basically, is what. So I think they say historians use it as, it used to be like land owner, like either owned by the crown or like the mansion's grounds or whatever was your domain, as opposed to domain, D-O-M-A-I-N, which we use now, which is just, I think it's more of like a geographical, as opposed to this was like possessed and owned by, right? Okay. So I think that's the only real. So yeah, so this is literally her creation. This is her domain, but domain.
Of a 19th century Chicago with everything made of wood. No wonder the real Chicago kept burning down.
I know, I love that.
Now, I can't remember if I made this point or not before, because I used to work masonry, about how there's a specific style of brick that's called Chicago style, which is reclaimed bricks from fires that were there. And they specifically have, like, the bricks have been visibly scorched.
Yes.
And it's really expensive.
Yeah.
But it's a style that people use for... Yeah.
This is why we have hoarders. See, somebody might want this someday. It's good. I'm keeping these bricks. You never know if I might want to rebuild the city.
In 100 years, somebody's going to pay a lot of money for this.
Exactly.
And it's going to be in demand. And it is.
Yeah. One day I will get my storage unit cleaned out, I swear. So yeah.
You don't have expensive bricks sitting in there. There's no point.
Not yet, but by the time I finally get it cleaned out in 100 years...
Antiques.
Then they will be worth something.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So it's got rats and wooden sidewalks and wooden everything and all built. It's all whatever. And then they've still got their little shimmering tear in reality. So you've got like, what is it? Sterile hospital air pouring in with... old Chicago streets and stuff like that. So it doesn't take long. So he's looking around, trying to figure out what's going on. Harry wanted to, try and get a good... I think they said this before, like when they were first going up to or whatever. And he's like, it'd be nice to not be in peril for a minute and get a good... Or this is where he's saying, he said he wants to get a good look. And he's like, did you hear? He's where he's saying, he's like, no, not yet. Like, I need to like not be in mortal peril for a second to actually take a moment and focus and see what's going on. And I didn't get a chance to do that in the hospital because things went...
Mortal peril.
AWOL.
Yeah. Well, they both kind of agree that, as much as it's shitty to be in the Never Never, it does give them a couple more opportunities now to learn some shit. Mm-hmm. So, like, since we're here.
Yeah, so, and I love this too. He's like, I hate to say it, but I think he's like, I was about to say split up, but...
And they were split up.
Thankfully. They didn't have to Scooby-Doo it. Agatha just popped up, and they're like, okay, phew, here she is. Sort of.
Harry going one way, and Michael going the other.
But... Yeah. So she's flying, and my little angel, and she's going, So she's still missing the arm. The arm definitely got left behind in mortal Chicago. But here it's all like bleeding and bloody stump kind of thing from where she ripped it away and everything
grotesque,
like that.
Yeah.
And but so she's just coming at him one-handed. She's like, I will just beat the crap out of you anyways. So,
Harry uses his shield, but grossly overloads it, the Never Never, and backfires against him.
Yeah,
Boom.
Not expecting her. Yeah, just blows the shit out of his shield. So that's not cool.
No.
Yeah.
It's like try and reason with him, and she's just going like more batshit crazy, and he's like, okay, that's what I thought. Never mind. All right.
Yeah. And there's what is it? There's a moment here when they're both just a little bit like, okie dokie, bad news or good news. And Michael instantly shuts it down. He's like, just bad news. Listen, got those hounds in the distance.
I love that moment. Holy shit, I breathe.
That's the best moment ever.
Harry, Michael, said certainly. You know I hate it when you swear. You're right. Sorry. Holy shit, I breathed. Heckhounds.
I was like,
Mother's out hunting.
I fucking love the first time I ever read it, and every time over and over and over. It's one of my favorite fucking moments ever. Holy shit, hellhounds. Harry, sorry. Holy shit, heckhounds.
It was a really well-placed joke. Like, it was great.
I have to do, I'm pretty sure there's a really similar, if not this one, reiterated in, I think it's in Skin Game. Anyways, I forgot to look at it. But yeah, it's just one of the fucking best. I fucking love that line. Absolute fucking best ever.
I just imagine this is like something like Jim Butcher came up with on a sticky note, and it's been sitting on his laptop for like 3 years. And he's like, finally, let's use this.
Or one of those things that like popped into his head at like 3 a.m. and he just fucking like made him giggle like mad. He's like fucking like
yeah. How do I get to this joke? How do I set up a book just for this joke?
Oh
Yeah.
fuck. Yeah, I just yeah. Oh.
So yeah, so this is when we, you know, Michael knows shit that we don't know about his godmother. So just a little bit more backstory here about Michael and his in-depth knowledge of Harry, which is again where another opportunity for Michael to be like, do you want to go back? Like, I'll deal with this myself. Like, you gotta get out of here.
I know.
It's like, oh, Michael.
He's like, I'm probably gonna die and I can't get back out, but you go, we'll figure it out if
Literally,
it's meant to be.
And like, well established, Michael has no way to open or close the rift himself. But he's like, Harry, you can go. And it's like, Michael, you're so nice, right? Like, I'll deal with this shit myself. But also to the extended point of also just being like, this is how bad this fairy godmother apparently is. Like, damn.
Yeah, and as we find out shortly, he doesn't know the whole end all and be all of the situation, but yeah, he knows that Harry doesn't want to be there and it's not good, and he just, I mean, again, Michael sort of, as we sort of had a little bit established in his conversations with Harry about not really liking the whole wizardry and the Bob and the, you know, like fairies in general are just kind of not really good, not really part of, so even if he doesn't know, like, all the down and dirty details, you know, I think Michael's just pretty comfortable and like, you just shouldn't be...
There's no fairies in the Bible, so we're not friends with them.
Kind of, but yeah, exactly. Just like, Harry doesn't need to be associating with whatever purpose this fairy godmother has. We should just probably not.
So Harry refuses. He's like, let's just hurry. And Michael grins at him and they start forward. And it's like, oh, it's such good friendship.
Yeah,
But I mean, they're both so good to each other.
They are, and I mean, again, I think that's what you like. It's like Harry offering to split the paycheck from the police case, knowing that Michael's not actually going to, and Michael's kind of the same way. He's like, you can ditch me and go because I know this is a pretty bad accident, but you know, deep down, he knows Harry's not going to ditch him, and they're going to work together, and it's all they'll be there for each, like help to, yeah, whatever. So it's all, so yeah. So now they've got an extra second ticking on the clock, kind of an extra second hand going. Yeah. So not only are they
More
racing
pressure
against Agatha and the babies already, now they've got exactly. So blah blah blah. So they have their big fight with Agatha. Nothing too super fantastic there, I think. Other
Dresden
than
tries to make an attack, but mostly ends up getting his coat mauled.
Yeah. And so they finally defeat her. Right, Harry almost goes down. He ends up using he can't sort of dust her but because it's just so like super real, he just like can use it as a like blackjack and just thunks her.
He sets one Chicago on fire.
Well, he does. They have the epic fight scene. He blasts things around with the stuff and starts burning it all over again. But point being is they kill her.
And then they check the body.
And he can still hear these horses and dogs baying, and he's getting all, and Michael's like, hey, look, and Harry's like, yeah, he's like, no, look, like, have you, and they discover this barbed wire spell on her, and Harry's like, this is not.
No wonder she went mad.
Yeah, so this is kind of a big deal. So now they know that there's
ghosts are being tortured.
That this isn't intentionally being pushed to happen, not just sort of a natural causation of some kind, and
not just tortured, but I take the impression of like marionette strings, even like
maybe I don't know if I ever took it quite that, but I always thought it was just pushing them to be more and more and more
real, more aggressive.
Yeah, I didn't think it was necessarily marionetting as pointing them in any particular direction, as simply just getting them more riled up or something. But regardless, any way you want to look at it, the effect is that
they were driven mad, which made them more capable
not the
of
seasonal angle. It's not just like
their whole intent was to cause destruction and pain and death and whatnot.
Yeah, and it's happening. So
yeah, well, and like just to summarize, like essentially, like Agatha was always having this issue. She's kind of, since she died like 100 years ago. Yeah, she's been constantly like kind of like this bemoaning spirit, upset, unrest, living through the tragedy of killing her own baby by accident and then murdering her husband and then herself. Like she's kind of always had this cycle, this loop, this thing, but wasn't strong enough for it to ever really affect the mortal world, right? Like generally speaking, like her
Yeah.
haunting the hospital, she was so weak that it wasn't an issue. And then
Yeah.
through whatever curse that has
Or
come through
maybe
recently,
like,
right?
you know, one or two, and here she just about took out the whole ward
nursery
and, you know,
ward, yeah, like-
nursery, like exactly, right? Like
Yeah.
it's definitely never been, exactly if fucking a whole nursery of babies kept dying every other week, Harry probably would have been aware about it before,
Right.
you know, so exactly, it's never been to that point.
Would have closed down the nursery by now, but yes.
You would really freaking hope, right? So yeah, so now they know there's not just maybe a something, there's a someone that they
Right.
can, right? And then, so Michael's all like, all right, got spelled on us, this is good.
Well,
See,
and-
we learned something. It's a good thing
It's a good thing we came to the Never Never. Way awesome. And then
Here's the
maybe that-
positive aspect, but
Yeah, and then Harry's
everything's
like,
burning.
oh, wait.
Let's go.
Yeah,
Oh.
the city's burning.
Especially-
Especially obvious.
God smiles on us. Not for long.
Yeah. So then he's like, oh, and yeah, I always thought he's like, oh, can the flames hurt us? He's like, yes, they can.
We should go. Oh,
We
hi.
are here with them now, yeah. And they literally turn around to go, and he's like, wait a second, I don't hear anything.
Hello, my son.
Only to be greeted by Leah.
Leah. Gotta love Leah. Just speaking about how Michael is like never goes through any growth. He's pretty much the steadiest person. Leah's one of the most frantic up and down and back and forth. And
Goddamn
like,
fucking fairies.
yeah, literally, like she's one of the wildest.
You love her,
changes.
you hate her, she's
It's kind
helpful,
of an,
she's not.
As much as I do love Leah, it's almost like meeting a new character every time we meet her. It's like her motives change in every scene, and like
Yeah.
you never trust her, but you're always just like, "Fuck, who are you?" Like
Yeah,
each and every
right?
time. Yeah, good old fairies.
Good old fairies. So, yeah.
Michael and Dresden are confronted by Leah, Dresden's godmother. Michael is unable to intervene due to the covenant that exists between Harry and Leah. Dresden tricks her, and the two manage to escape to Never Never.
So you get this very gorgeous woman, kind of a little bit feline, but
Yeah.
woman.
Which I think is fair, because she is a supernatural fairy type.
Yeah.
She gets to be extraordinarily beautiful.
Totally.
Yeah. Red
And
hair.
you know, Michael instantly like steps between them, and he's like, "Hey, like fuck off, fairy."
Back off, get your own wizard.
Exactly. I've got dibs on this one, and she's like, "Well, actually, I have dibs."
Yeah.
And then Michael's like, "Oh wait, y'all have a deal?"
Yeah, and
this
so this
true?
tells, so he knows about Leah. He knows that Harry doesn't want to run into her. He knows it's bad if she gets her claws into him, and why he doesn't want to go into the Never Never. But obviously, Michael didn't have the entire backstory, for good, bad, or indifferent, whether that was sort of on purpose or just never came up or whatever. You know, we don't know what and how much Harry's told him about it. But yeah, he's all ready to defend. He's like, wait, like, free will, dude, I'm out. I'm out, C's. Like, that's our whole game.
Yeah, that's right.
You agreed to be with,
What-
agreed to make a deal with her. That's on you.
Yeah, he's like, I can't, and then Harry.
Which Harry totally defends himself. He's like, "I was a child. That's not fair." Like,
Yeah.
Which I agree.
Which does have a certain
Yeah.
fairness there, but again, when you get down to the very strict nitty gritty, that
Yeah.
exactly like
Fairies don't really care about age of consent.
yeah, and had Harry or had Michael been there at 16 or whatever when Harry made this deal, maybe he could have done something to step in, and but 10,
Now.
12 years after the fact, when you know, now it's too late. Now he can't go back. He's like,
Yeah.
well, now that covenant is sort of whatever, right? Like, yeah, he's like,
And it's pretty much established that Harry's been avoiding the Never Never to avoid Leah for like 12 years, which
So,
is a long time to not ever go in the Never Never. And I'm sure he's like as now, it's not like the first time I went to the Never Never in more than a decade. Like he's probably been here for a time or two before.
Popped
but
in
like
there
he
for
pops
5
in here
minutes
for
and
like
done.
seconds at a time, you
He
know? Like
always too in these first couple books when he introduced it, he kind of says it's a place you don't want to mess around
Yeah.
anyway. So I mean, it's not like someplace like it's not like Peter Pan's Neverland where it's like, oh, I wish I could go hang out with the Lost Boys and go tease Captain Hook for a while. It's like I don't really ever want to go there if I don't have to. Like it's just
Which-
creepy and it's cool, and he has not developed sort of a good use for it yet
Yeah.
or whatever. So there is sort of a fairness that at least it's not like. Well, Harry would be, like, way far along in what he, like, as either a PI or a wizard or whatever, if he would just, stop being a chicken shit and go hang out in the Never Never. It's like, no, I don't really want to do that anyways. This is just extra reason to not dick around in there because, yeah. I have a target on my back specifically, as opposed to just maybe shit will happen. So I think that is kind of fair.
Yeah. So, real quick to just go over episode 1 and 2 now. We've had in the first episode, Harry, maybe it wasn't the first episode. We kind of ended early. Maybe both were second episode. I don't know when we record things. Everything blurs together.
Or this book?
I don't know this book.
Okay.
My point is that, like, when
quick.
he ran into Agatha the first time, he was starting to fall for this, like, Tansenn singing, whatever it's called.
Oh, the enchantment.
He started to fall
the
for the
enchanted
enchantment. Like,
singing.
he, like, very slowly was like, oh, like, fuck, wait, stop,
Yeah.
don't. And as we established ourselves, he was falling for Cassandra's tears, too, right? Whether or not he acknowledged it or not.
Yep.
Now, this third time, we've got Leah. She, like, strokes his cheek, and she's like, Harry, send the nice man away. Like, let you and me just talk for a moment, right? And Harry's like, go away, Michael. Like, I got this. Like, the rift is going to close soon. Like, you should go. And Michael's doing the whole, like
Harry,
bitch, don't you? And he's like, it's fine, Michael. Like, go through the rift. I got this. Like, leaning into Leah. And then motherfucker is just like, wham, bam, boom, fuck
Cold
you.
coxer.
Cold
Yeah. Pulls the cheap shot with the ghost dust.
Oh, pop, pop. And, like, again, he's like, go, Michael, and they run for the rift. And I'm just like, the strongest thing you've dealt with in 12 hours is the one that you're like, I don't fall for you. He totally just, like,
And I think again, I was
I think maybe he has a bit of foresight.
Conder?
no, he totally bluffs her.
blindsided bluffs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he also knows what kind of power
Yeah,
that
yeah.
she has. So
The most
I think he's got
experience
a
with
little
Leah.
bit more defense against it.
Yeah, and I've sort of gone back and forth with that sometimes too. Like, was the entire thing like a con right from the first second? Or a little bit like Agatha, like for a second was he sort of, but just was able to kind of pull himself back again at, you know.
I think he needed that
there
time
was-
to collect himself and figure out what the fuck am I going to do? What the
Come
fuck
up
am I
with a
going to
plan,
do?
yeah.
Yeah.
What's plan A? What's plan A? Oh, okay. All right.
Well,
that's
he
done.
does
What's
say-
plan A?
Because he does, well, yeah, because he does say, because he's like, go home, Michael. He's like, my voice came out thick, dull, as though I'd been drinking, right? So he's already starting. And then Michael's like, Harry. And then he's like, Leah placed one long-fingered, slender hand upon my cheek, blah, blah, blah. I had to fight to keep thoughts of her beauty from preoccupying me altogether, right? So I'm like, to me, that was like, maybe there was a little bit, like she was trying, and it was, you know, there was a little bit, but yeah, I think he did definitely play into it a little bit, like he was sort of fighting, and he, did sort of allow it to coax him in to lull her into that false sense of
Like, I didn't try to fight the
security.
magic.
Yeah, but he did again, right? So it's like there probably was a little bit of, I mean, yeah, if he could have just, boom, jumped right through the hole right then and there, but it was like she's kind of was, and he's like, oh shit, and then he's like, wait, I can use this too, or whatever, but yeah, either way, whether it was all premeditated,
Underestimated
whether
him,
it was
Leah.
a great con or a little bit of luck, or both, but yeah, exactly, yeah, I don't think any of us really saw that going the first time either. He's like, it's okay, and because let's say, because he drops his rod and staff and everything, and you're
Right.
like, Harry, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like, you're
His
gonna-
defenses
you know?
are gone.
Yeah, and then he fucking does.
I will go with you when hell freezes over.
Right? Like, I love that. Yeah, he's like, not much lore about fairies and depleted uranium yet, but there's a ton about fairies and cold iron. So, yeah.
Really, it was the basil that did it.
Probably,
yeah, exactly.
They hate basil. Fairy is an Italian. Never been good.
So, yeah, but at least he grabs his shit this time and runs. A number of times Harry,
shoves
like,
Leah, grabs his shit.
yeah, like fighting scorpions, and he leaves his fucking shit behind. And
He's
this
not coming
and
back to
that.
the Never Never anytime soon. He can go back to the burnt down house.
Well, except he didn't. He ended up having to remake those. But anyways, point being is, yes, for once, I'm like, thank you. At least you grabbed your shit. And
Now he's secretly
I'm like,
got a
I know there's
stock
going to be
of-
some point where you're going to be, you know, disarmed, but can we not have it happen in like the first book, and then for the next 30 chapters be like running around without it?
I was gonna say, I was like, it was he lost his shit at the end of Stormfront, so he had all year to make new shit. He had until full moon to make new shit. This is the beginning of the book. He needs his shit still.
That's what I mean,
Yeah.
though. But sometimes
Now,
it's
now he's got
on.
himself a
It was
cupboard
like-
that's filled with blasting rods.
Yeah,
and-
literally.
You would think if he was smart, that's what he would have done. But you will find that no.
Dude, what movie
Ooh, I
is that
like
from?
this one. I'm just gonna stick with one.
I can't remember what movie that's from. It's so funny. Darn.
Probably a couple.
Just like, yeah, like, I don't know, like somebody like snaps their wand and they just open the cup and there's like 400 of the exact same version. Just grab it and go.
Yeah, exactly.
Walking stick or something. I don't remember what it is though. So it doesn't matter.
That's okay. I got you.
They run.
Yeah, poor Michael gets snapped on by a hellhound. By a heckhound.
Yeah, heckhound. He gets chewed on a little bit, but yeah, man. And Leah's just
one gets poked in the eye. No.
Yeah, he does, because he falls down and gets and that's it. And he jabs his staff. I think is it the rod?
Yeah,
his staff or something right into the. Yeah, you're gonna feel that a little bit. And
Okay.
Leah's like ah.
So, real quick, I just want to throw this out there, okay? This could just be descriptions because you want to have a fun battle scene, but I should be pointed out that fairies can only say something that's true.
Yep.
That is a rule of Jim Butcher's world for fairies.
Yep.
So she calls out and she's like, treacherer, treasonous, poisonous child. You are mine as your mother swore unto me as you swore.
You swear, yeah.
We all know what that means overall, but she has to only speak to the letter of the law,
Yeah.
right? I'm just saying, it was just like, treasonous, poisonous child. She really has to fully believe that to say it.
Right. Well, he did just poison her with iron.
I know, I'm just saying, it was like, fun comment.
Okay. We'll have to explore that a little more. But not here right now.
You shouldn't make contracts with a minor.
Yeah, I know.
And fell through the rift.
Yeah.
Oh, and then that's the other
Jess,
thing.
he's like hoping it's still open enough.
Sorry, that was the other part. Then she calls after him and calls him a serpent child.
Yes.
A serpent child.
A serpent child.
If you will not give me your life, serpent child, then I will have your blood.
But again, we know metaphors, but she can only speak to the letter of the law. Fairies can't speak in metaphors. She has to fully believe what she says.
Well, do they not? They speak some in. It still has to be true, but they can.
Yeah, they can
twist
speak
and
in
bend
riddles,
and
but-
riddles and metaphors. I
Yeah.
think they can.
And
I don't know if I would necessarily take that
Not too
as
literal?
I mean, I don't know. Maybe, like you say, if you want to put
Or that's just fairy language for
Hindsight.
you're a jerk.
well, but I mean, again, right? There is that, right? The way they talk and
she has a reason to be angry, for
She
sure.
definitely has. And
It's like calling somebody a bastard
yeah.
when they're not really actually a bastard.
Yeah. So yeah, no, I don't know that for sure, because I think definitely that they can be like treacherous, poisonous serpent. Like I think
Okay.
they can still use.
Insults.
Yeah, exactly. No.
We don't actually think that Dresden is half serpent.
Well, and this is right. Like, I mean, again, it has so many meanings that it can be literal and all. Like, I mean, you know, you can call a serpentine road because that's what that meaning has become of being twisty and bending, but it doesn't mean that you're actually driving down a snake, right? So I don't know. This is what it's all about. This is the fun we're getting into. This is the beauty of each subsequent book. Okay, those are just a little too high.
So they managed to make it through the rift just as it closes.
Their ears bleeding.
Because who doesn't like a last minute exit?
Yeah, right. Takes a little blast from Leah to just kind of push him back through and pray. So, yeah. There.
They check on the babies who are now breathing and safe. Yay! There are no dead babies.
Yay! God smiled on us. All is right in the world. You suck.
I wasn't the one killing them.
But you took too much glee in that whole. Anyway, so yes, we get back. And then Michael's like, "Oh, you got away from her," and he's like, "Haha, I did." He's like, "But you lied to her." He's like, "I tricked her." Classic tactics with fairies, and he's like, "But we're the good guy."
I thought you were an honest man, Harry.
Harry's like, "She's a fairy." And he's like, "But Harry." It's like,
That's not how the good guys win.
Yeah.
I
he's
love
like,
how dedicated
"Fuck
he
that
is.
shit." Yeah, I know. And I love
He's
how
just
Harry's like,
so
"Screw
dedicated
that,
in faith."
man." He's like, "I'm mostly honorable. It's a freaking fairy, man." I was like, "Screw that shit. I don't feel bad at all."
Literally. And I like how more in
like,
this scene, an orderly runs in, looks at them, runs away screaming, and they're just like, look at it, and they're like, anyways, keep talking.
I know, that's the other best part about it. They just keep it. They're like wiping blood off.
Yeah.
He's like Michael's like checking the wounds on his leg and like mopping them, and then he starts clearing like ectoplasm and crap off his like
Sword.
giant fucking sword. And then, like, some kind of alarm starts going off. One of the nurses stepped in to take a look and runs out screaming. He's like, "You know what bothers me?" He's like, "What?" She's like, "I wonder how she got here." And he's like, "I'm putting my rod and staff, like, out of reach.
Out of reach?
Right. He's like, "Michael's sheathing the sword." He's like, "We stick our hands on her head."
They sit there and just talk.
He's like, "Yeah, that's kind of weird. It does seem like an unlikely coincidence. And they're just like sitting there ready to go. And the cop comes, like, you can just picture like this cop, like wildly running in, and like the coffee's stealing. Where did they go? They're just like calmly sitting there ready to be.
We're ready to be arrested.
Yep. Yeah, I'd be like, I know, but did you see what like Jolie was wearing the other day? Like, I can't believe it. Did you know her and John are dating now? Like, I know, right? And how about that blues guy? It was just like
Hands on their heads, weapons set aside.
Sitting on the floor, everything out of reach.
Yeah, and then Michael, don't worry, just let me do the talking.
Famous last words.
I love it so much.
Oh, so good. So good.
So
did our best to look friendly and not threatening.
Chapter 7.
What was this about this book like picking up and really like I
love him so much.
I love him I love Bob.
Like I said, the people you meet in this book are just like every fan favorite. Michael, Leah, Thomas, we'll get there. So good. We love you too, Murphy. You were the most important. We met you first, but
Obviously. You're the OG fan favorite.
OG.
Thank you to our Patreon subscribers for your generous support. It's people like you who help us to do what we do. If you're not yet a Patreon subscriber, sign up today and get a fuck ton of bonus content, kick-ass merch, behind-the-scenes outtakes, and more. Sign up today at www.patreon.com/freeflowrambling.
Chapter 7. Harry and Michael wait in jail to be bailed out. The two discuss the nature of their business until Charity arrives and bails them out. Susan drives Dresden home, and they are met by two vampires.
Michael, I can't believe we're in jail.
It's alright, just let me do the talking. I can't believe. And then
Disturbing the peace. Trespass. Illegal parking, speeding, failure to obey traffic signs, dangerous and reckless operation of a motor vehicle. I'm going to lose my license.
Disturbing the peace. I'll show you disturbed peace. Fucking I love. Yeah. And then of course Michael, he's like, well, you can't really blame them. Like, we did all those things. Like, you were speeding. They had to. And he's like, but. And then in typical pouty,
Just a tantrum. Like, we don't get paid for this. We barely even get thanks. Now we get arrested.
Fucking kicks the bar.
Yeah.
He took his boots away from us.
And he hurts himself.
Damn it.
Oh, yeah. Throws himself down on the bench. And,
So petulant.
yeah.
I love how Michael is just so acceptant of how things work. He's like, that's just how things are.
Yeah.
But he's the first one. He's like, I can't believe we were arrested.
Because it's so often, right? Normally, everything works out and all these little adjustments and
Right place, right time.
right place, right time. That and it's like, but now you got Harry's chaotic, good, chaotic,
Bad
good.
luck. Just bad luck.
He's not like chaotic neutral, but like chaotic good or something. Is that
Yeah.
Harry? Where he's like, I don't know exactly. I got to research those more and get all the levels so I use them properly But anyways, yeah, it's
alignment
just,
chart.
just alignment chart exactly. But it's like you just kind of like Harry, just kind of like he's like I never end up in jail. Like I always go in and save the day if that needs saving, and I go home like that's or whatever, right? But he's like this.
I always
like,
escape before they take me to jail.
Demons, ghosts. Well, but you know what I mean. It's like that shit I deal with, but I never get caught up with like fucking cops. Like, oh my god. Yeah. But so now they're like, okay, well at least now we know that there's a because he's like we don't know what's going on. He's like, oh no, we know what's a who. So he's like, yeah, the Lord will never give you a bigger burden than you can. He's like, well, I need bigger shoulders. Someone in accounting screwed up. Like, but yeah. So then Michael's like, come on, it was all worth it. And Harry's like, no, it wasn't. I'm not gonna let you see me smile, but it was so worth it.
Yeah.
Little
Just thinking of the
Gerber
babies.
baby. So
Michael knows his wife Charity was going to be unhappy with the circumstances.
He's even like, how long do you think until we get bailed out? And Harry's like, I don't know. He's like,
Michael's like-
Harry, how long until we get bailed out? And Michael's like, I don't know. You be the better judge. Hey,
He's like, what do you mean? He's like, well, But yeah, he's like, Charity's not going to be happy. So then she shows
All
up.
we can do is face what comes and have faith.
And
I
then-
like the little tease there.
Yeah. Turns it back around on him, right? Throws his words back at him, right? Michael grunted, and he's like, I'll say a prayer to St. Jude. And as we all know, St. Jude is the patron saint of...
Desperate causes and lost causes.
No, exactly. Little hopeless situation here. It's all fine. We're good.
I should know that. I should pray to that guy.
I'm pretty sure I told you to a couple of times, but...
Oh, forgot
and
about
St.
it.
Anthony for lost things.
I know that one. I lose everything. I know that guy.
I know. I've done you honestly. But anyways, so
Hour later, cop comes, lets him out. They made bail. Ooh.
yeah, so Charity has come to bail out
Which
Michael.
I want to know how much their bail was. I wish that had been more said because, like, I know for a fact that setting bail in America is like the most insane. Like,
It's a money
it's
grab.
the most insane rules for like what does and doesn't.
$10,000 for a parking ticket. And
Well, it's just like insane. Like some things are like like $100, and other things are like $10,000. And it's just
which
like
I get if it's like a parking ticket or murder, but
murder's a lot more than $10K. But
is it? No, but you know what I mean. It's
But
like,
yeah.
what is it? Is it like it's like they try and put you like 10,000
But-
bail for like a parking ticket, but then it's like 250 if you like knock over the 7-Eleven. Like you talking like it's that
But
kind of crazy.
to my understanding is that it's like states have like a suggested, but it's all up to the judge, right? And they get to use other determinations, like if they think you're gonna run or this or
Right,
that or
right,
whatever,
right,
like that,
right,
right?
right.
So like you literally
That's
just
long-term
like
incarceration
so
as
like
opposed
super
to
subjective.
something
it's
a
just-
minor misdemeanor, like which is disturbing the peace, is like
Well, the only thing though is that like, as we've brought up on this show before, is that I like to watch police interrogations, right? And like I'll watch like the same case with like 10 different people, and they all have insane bails, and the cops will tell them to to intimidate them. Like that's an insane number for what you did, just so you know. Like that's way more than what we would normally
it's
do for
$50,
this, right?
but we're
Well,
posting your bail at 10,000.
And I don't personally know, right?
Right.
Like I'm not looking up state by state crimes, and so I never know. I'm like, is this just a tactic by the cop, or is that like really insane, or is that just average? But it's like, yeah, like generally speaking, like. Well, okay. Admittedly, I watch interrogations for like cool shit, which is like murder.
cool.
Typically speaking, I'm not watching it for like holding up a 7-Eleven, but I still would imagine it's probably a few thousand when they've got like 5 or 6 charges between both of them. I just think it'll be a couple thousand. So I would have to assume between the two of them having 6 or so charges each, it was. Like even like at the absolute minimum, I would say 1,000 each, but I'm sure it's more than that. I'm sure it's probably more like 5,000 between them each or something like that. And
Like
even
5,000 each?
yeah, I would say like I would honestly guess like probably 5,000 each, and that's even then like a low number. Like I would put it as like them not having a criminal past was probably like why, and they're both white.
And I just mumbled that into that. I was gonna say, and this is less of a problem, I think, with Michael and Charity, because despite the fact that we've established, or are about to establish that he's just a carpenter, and that they have several children, an undisclosed amount as such, but she said she needed a sitter for the children, so, but again, Michael following the straight and narrow, being a Knight of the Cross, I'm gonna say they're good folks. They always have enough to provide, and therefore they will have their little savings in their nest egg. And I'm impressed, like, Susan comes up with this, because, again, unless he's got a little bit of that gold nugget left stashed away, Harry's made it pretty obvious that he doesn't, on any kind of regular basis, have $5,000 stashed away. Not even $1,000 stashed away. Susan is... Again, we've established she's a good reporter. She's now syndicated, but I'm like,
still probably not making that much.
Susan just like is super good with her money, like had a little bit, from her parents when she got started in life or something. Like she can just come up with $5,000, or I don't know, maybe she's got good enough credit. Harry probably doesn't because he's not established anywhere because he doesn't get any utilities. But I'm like, maybe she just gets a bail bonds, and then like
I can't imagine
Susan doesn't have $5,000 either.
I really can't imagine she makes more than like $150 maximum per article.
I don't have a clue.
If there's like when I worked for it, I got $50 an article. And
yeah, but that
it was not
also
through,
like a youth magazine
but
thing.
that's why I'm
idea how
guessing
much
like
real journalism-
150 maybe per
Yeah.
article or something like that. And then
But she'd either have to write a shit ton of
But-
articles, or
but
she's on staff as a writer.
on multiple magazines, then like 150 times like 10 magazines or times 20 like I don't know, like
No, we don't know how this works. I get that.
I'm just saying,
But-
my point is that I still don't think it's a lot of money.
No,
Same
and that's
thing.
what I'm saying is that, I don't think that. So just where Susan, like I say, I'm like, I don't know where she had like $5,000 to pull out of her butt to come get this, but Yeah, exactly. Anyways, point being is each of their women come to bail them out.
Hey, Discord. Tell us how much you think it is.
And Charity is heavily pregnant.
Yeah,
Yes.
gets 7-8 months pregnant.
And she uses all of Michael's names. Michael Joseph Patrick Carpenter. You know you're in trouble when.
Right.
And she calls Dresden bad company. I love
This
that
is
right
what
away.
comes up when taking up with bad company.
Bad company.
Yeah, hello, Angel. Don't you angel me. And you know how to get a babysitter and all the way out here and the money together and then get the sword back for you. It's like, hey, hi, Charity. I'm first of all, I'm thinking, like, you already know she's going to be pissed. You already said, like, you haven't seen her in a while. And I'm like, you really think this is the time to interrupt? Like, she's giving him and you're like, hey, Charity, nice to see you. How's it going? I'm like, dude.
It's
like,
clear they already have
bear.
bad blood because they haven't talked in 5 years.
Yeah.
Like, and she's counting.
That's what he says. This has been 3 or 4. And she's like, yeah, but exactly. I was like, Dresden, you're dumb. You should have just stayed quiet.
Yeah.
And then about, like, what are you? You
And that's
just has to, though.
Mrs.
I know.
Carpenter.
I know. She won't even let him call him Charity or whatever. She's like,
She could glare right at me without looking me square in the eyes.
yeah. I love it. She, like, rams her belly at him. Like, you know, like, he may have weaponized, like, his soul gazes and his, she, like, weaponizes this, like, pregnant belly. She's like, I don't care if I'm pregnant. I will take you out. I will stab a dude. Like, stab
Well,
a
and like, and he tries to. He's like, it was really important. It's always really important. My husband engages with many important activities without what I dubiously call your term of help. But it's only when you're around he comes back covered in blood. So it's super, like, we know that Michael does this shit all the time. Harry's the one who fucks it up.
Does it? Yeah.
Right?
I mean, not to say that he never, I'm sure, but exactly, right?
still,
Most
like-
of the time.
Done deal, not arrested.
Working on Michael's boss's schedule.
Yeah, right.
Things go more smoothly, right?
tip-
And
yeah,
Harry's
exactly.
the chaos factor.
When
and
God brings him work, it goes fine. When Harry brings him work, it does not.
it's like, who the
Right.
fuck knows what's gonna happen? Yeah, it's like, I got hurt too. And she's like, good. Like, I love that. She's like, good. Maybe you'll finally start learning.
That was a great line. That one.
I know, because it's like so unexpected. You just figure she's like, whatever. She's like, yeah. Oh, man.
If you ever get my Michael into trouble so deep he can't come home to his family, I will make you sorry for it.
Yeah, and there you get down to the crux.
That's what I call foreshadow.
So that's really why.
Michael doesn't say anything else. He just follows after his wife.
Yeah, Michael-
Michael's so much smarter than Dresden.
Right? Like, again, he's established. He's a little older. Michael knows when to shut the fuck up.
Married
And-
long time.
Married long time.
In and around
But
50,
again,
well,
I like this, right? It's not like she's not just the harpy shrewish wife. Like, again,
She
they
loves
make
her
There's some
husband.
dimension to her.
they make her like strong and opinionated, and we're like, hey, say she's not some meek, mild, wallflower or anything like this, you know. But exactly, it's like there's respect between Michael and Charity,
Right.
and there's friendship, there's love, there's whatever. And yeah, she's worried about her husband, she's worried about her family, you know. It's really, that's very touching, right? Where he's like, tears that in no way, you know, hinted at weakness, you know, and you're like, oh.
I like the watching them, how he watches them leave. I watched the two of them for a moment, walking in step beside one another while I stood there alone. Then I stuck my hands into my pockets and I turned away. I had never noticed before how well the two of them matched one another. Michael with his quiet strength and unfailing reliability, and Charity with her blazing passion and unshakable loyalty to her husband.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot packed into that phrase, like those couple of sentences there.
Exactly, yeah, it
Like,
tells you a lot about-
Dresden seems to be feeling left out of the marriage department and almost the relationship department itself. Like, he just already assumes that things are not ever going to work for him.
Well, and I think that was part of, you know, with Michael prodding him on the right. Michael's just brought all of this to the surface too on the way there. He's like, well, do you love her? Are you going to marry her? And he's like,
Wizards can't get married.
Yeah, I can't say. I don't just say that to people, and I don't have time. You know, and this is it. Michael's like, well, I do most of the same work you do, and I've got, you know, exactly, and just how well they do mesh, and he's still, and I mean, you know, you gotta go, it's still very new, you guys haven't been together that long, it's been a couple of years, and it's been a crazy couple of years, let's face it, Harry and Susan, but you know, exactly, right, like, he's like that whole youthful, am I ever gonna get there, how do you make it work, how the fuck do relationships, I don't have a fucking clue how relationships work, man,
I don't remember if Molly is 12 or 14 in this book. But whatever it is, add 1 more year, and that's how long the Carpenters have been married, right? So, again, like you put it, 12 to 14 are years, give or take, to them being married, right? And Harry's known Michael for roughly half of that, right? But to be fair to Harry, like, Michael got married in his 30s, and Harry's still in his 20s. So it's like, you know, like, it does seem a little bit more dramatic for Harry when he's like, oh, I'm never gonna be like that. And it's like, well, yeah, like, it's fair. You're in your 20s. Like, chill out. Like, you're fine. Like, a little bit, pessimistic there, but like some 20-year-old.
Well, do you... Well, I guess he's supposed to be about mid-40s, so I guess he would have been around 30 then if they've been married about 15 years. So, okay, gotcha, yeah. Because I was like, I don't think he's, like, exactly, like, 20 years old, but yeah, if he's, like, 15-ish over Harry or so, then that would... But yeah, 15, 20 years, I gotcha.
And then Susan makes
Sounds about right. Math makes sense.
Her entrance just as he's thinking about all of this relationship stuff.
Full 180.
He's like, oh, hey, I smell you. You smell great.
They're a beautiful couple, aren't they? They got off to a good start.
Oh, how's that?
He saved her from a fire-breathing dragon.
Sounds nice.
I want to know if that's actually true, because it very well could be.
Is it? Yeah. It'll come up later in the books.
You weren't going to make him find out? She said she'd give her.
I'm sorry.
She's just... No, that's okay. I just thought you would have taunted her a little bit and been like, I don't know, you'll find out. But
I actually wrote in there, I wonder if the statement's actually true.
Yeah. You'll find out.
I guess so.
Yes, it is.
Dragons are real.
But that's the beauty of this too. Like, and with Harry, right? You're like, okay, well, given we're dealing in a supernatural world, like, it's possible, it could be, and there could have been some reason that, you know, like, or it could just be Harry being Snark, and, you know, but yeah.
It's funny, if you study the official Jim Butcher timeline like I do, which was fan-compiled, not done by Jim Butcher, there's so many times in that timeline where someone's like, we don't actually know if this was just Harry being snarky or if this really happened. Like, there's one point where it's like, I don't know, like, 50 years before Stormfront, the White Council stops upping the price paid to wizards.
Oh, like, yeah.
Like, there's like a little, like, in brackets, it's like, Harry might have just been sarcastic. They haven't updated in 100 years.
When this first came out, right, it would have been like, Charity rescued by fire-breathing dragon, we don't know. And then, you know, like, 10 books later, and they're like, okay, wait, no, this is confirmed now.
She really was, yeah.
It was. We found out he wasn't just being sarky. But yes. But I know. Again, there's just so many great... I mean, I say that all the time. I love a lot of Harry's exchanges. But yeah, there's just some good ones. Like, you know, to a good start. Oh yeah. And she's just like, oh yeah, sounds nice. Like, okay. So yeah, then they have their little thing. Are you okay?
Off the record.
Yeah. Mr. Dane, I'm sorry. I just want to be important. No, you're important. I don't want you to think that you're, you know, damn it, Harry, why can't you just say it? But yeah, so you know they're both thinking it, they're both feeling it. Susan's like, I don't want to be the first to say it if you don't feel that way. And he's like, well, I don't want to say it if you don't feel that way, but even, yeah, this whole thing about Michael too, and their little, you know, he's like, yeah, she's like, I love it. She's like, so what? Like an actual knight? Like a, you know? And he's like, oh, as far as I know, he's a carpenter. She's like, they have like a magic nail gun or something.
This is what the craziest thing to me too, though, is that like again, that little bit of like that like father-son relationship or something like that, when like Harry knows about Michael knows about like Leah and Elaine and Susan, and Harry's like, I don't even know what his job is. It's like your parents know like who your best friend is, and your school, and your dentist, and then people are like, what do your parents do for work? You're like, I don't know, they leave the house every day.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I don't know, they drop me off at school. End of story.
Know, you're right. I'm pretty sure they do something. I never really thought.
I don't take care of me, make me lunch.
My mom was complaining about a computer one day, so I think she has a computer at work. I don't know if that's part of her job or she doesn't use one. But, yeah. Exactly.
I think she just shops at the grocery store.
But yeah. So yeah, again, I think this is a little bit of the Harry downplay, right? He's like, as far as I know, that's...
Well, we get a little bit of a history, at least, on the swords.
Yeah.
So Michael believes that Amarachius is one of the 3 weapons given by God to mankind, each with a nail from the cross worked into its design. And that only the righteous can wield them.
Yeah, so again, that explains a lot. And again, like he's saying about her, right? Because she's like, well, I thought he was, like, nice enough. And he's like, yeah, he's not like a self-righteous, like, he's not like a stuck-up, long-winded douchebag. But he's like a legitimate, like, you know, like, as he says,
man of
you know,
God.
He lives his ideals and that, you know? And it's just kind of like, oh, wow. And she's like, and again, right, he's like, yeah, well, he's humble too, right? Like, he doesn't, he's just, again, this is just who Michael is. Like, he doesn't have to act, he's not trying to be anyone, he's not trying to be just... hey man, this is how I roll, this is, you know, and it's just like, but yeah, never met anyone like him. And then, I'm gonna rock it, and then, yeah, she's like, he named his sword? It's like, I'm very afraid. He's like, no, the swords come with a name. So, yeah, so this is our basis, our introduction into what, and the foundation of that is that, yeah, so we find out that, well, I guess we don't, other than there's knights of, so it implies there's more than one, so whether that's at any given time or 100 or an order or whatever, right? But yeah, although I guess he does say no because this is the 3. Hang on.
Yeah, he says 3 swords. Each of them has a nail.
Yeah, so there you go. So that's where they...
Oh, 1 of 3.
Yeah, so there we go. So then they go back and forth. They have a little bit more banter about her, and then they have their little moment. And he can't say it, but he kisses her, and he tries to put everything into the kiss. And then they hear someone coming, and they break apart, and they get kind of a little knowing look from a passing cop, like, And Harry gets all flustered and blushy a little bit, which again is so funny, right? Like, yeah, he'll stand up to, like, Leah and, like, Agatha Hagglethorn and be like, fuck you, whatever. And then, like, a cop sees him kissing in the hallway, and he's like, oh my god, I'm so embarrassed. It's like,
I got caught kissing. Oh,
it's like, again, right, that old-fashioned versus snarking. Which, again, right, those sort of, some of those chords of Michael, and I think they're there in Harry. Like, Harry wants to be good, but Harry also just can't resist being, like, a snarky
bitch.
little... yeah, too. It's like, but it's... And really, I appreciate that, because, you know, that's where the fun is.
That's why we like him.
That's why we like him, but yeah.
So, yeah. He falls asleep on the way home, but, upon arriving home, his cat doesn't come to greet him, which is horrible.
What?
Yeah, he's quite concerned.
But Mr. always comes.
Mr. always comes.
I'd be worried too.
Yeah. And I love Susan's reaction and stuff like that. Like, he's a cat. And he's like, well, yeah, but what if, like, something happened? What if you got a dog? And she's like, he could, like, I pity any dog that tries to take on this. And again, this is the beauty of the fantasy world where it's okay. You can let your cats out and wander around all night, and, you know, I don't have to worry about the practicality of it, but yeah. So it kind of gives him pause, but then he's like, whatever, I'm tired, and kind of got beat up by a ghost. Well, and I guess a couple of hellhounds too, but, right, so Susan's all, and then he's like, oh no, wait, shit, I sense something.
Something's off.
Wait a minute.
Something's wrong.
Cool.
Well, and I appreciate just how open he is, too. He's, like normally the time, he's very, like, I don't know, flighty when it comes to giving information to these mortals, right? But this one, he was, like, really, like, he's just like, take it easy, get out your car keys.
Yeah, I think at this point, he's like, well, fuck, she saw me beat down some werewolves. I think Susan knows at this point. I guess cat's out of the bag, you know, so... Yeah, but you're right, exactly. He doesn't try and, you know, pretend it's anything.
Let's go to your place.
He's just like, oh shit, we got company, and figures out pretty quick, and so...
Well, so real quick, you know, like you've got, what are we, 7 chapters in, and we've got ghosts, fairies, now vampires.
Some demons.
Cops. There was demons with the girl.
Demons.
It was like...
necromancers.
True to Jim's form. Throw in
just
85 problems.
Throw it.
Mishmash of everything.
Yep.
Yeah.
Here's your supernatural melting pot.
Yeah, exactly.
Everything but the kitchen sink.
This concludes our episode 8.3, Who You Gonna Call? Thank you for listening. You can find us online at freeflowrambling.com and McAnally's.ca. There we have links to our other podcasts, social media, and other fun tidbits. Please subscribe if you like what you're hearing, and please consider supporting us through Patreon to keep the magic alive and to see more content. We are Free Flow Rambling. Conjure by it at your